If Al-Khwarizmi had not been born, perhaps there would be no Google, no GPT chat, and no such thing as artificial intelligence today. Al-Khwarizmi, the man who changed the world with a few numbers. Today, if you ask people what the most important invention of mankind is, many will probably mention electricity, the internet, or artificial intelligence. But few people know that almost all of these technologies work on the basis of a concept named after an Iranian scientist, a scientist who lived more than 1,200 years ago. But his ideas are still flowing in mobile phones, computers, satellites, and even artificial intelligence. His name was Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Musa Al-Khwarizmi, a man who is considered the father of algebra, a scientist whose name, after centuries, became the word algorithm. A word that is today the beating heart of the digital world. But his story did not begin with computers and the internet. His story began in a land that was once one of the brightest centers of culture and knowledge in Iran. Around 780 AD, a child was born in the land of Khwarezm, a land along the great Amu Darya River, parts of which are now in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. At that time, Khwarezm was a bustling city. Merchants traveled along the Silk Road. Scientists from various lands came to it. And thought was as valuable as gold and silk. He left behind such a legacy that his name became much more famous than his personal life. In those years, the Islamic world was experiencing a different era. The Abbasid Caliphate ruled a large part of the Islamic lands, and Baghdad, its capital, had become one of the greatest scientific centers in the world. In Europe, many cities still had small libraries, but in Baghdad, thousands of volumes of books from Iran, India, Greece, and Egypt had been collected. Scientists were translating, researching, and discussing day and night. At the head of this scientific movement was a caliph who history remembers with his love for knowledge, Ma'mun al-Abbas. Ma'mun believed that the power of a government did not lie solely in the sword, it is also related to knowledge. For this reason, he developed a scientific center called Baitul Hikmah, or House of Wisdom. But Baitul Hikmah was not just a library. It was a large university. It was an observatory for studying the sky. It was a center for translating Greek, Persian, and Indian works. And it could be said to be one of the first great research centers in the world. Many scientists from all over the Islamic lands gathered there. Among them, the name of Muhammad ibn Musa Al-Khwarizmi shone more than others. He worked long hours among books, astronomical instruments, and geographical maps. But he was not satisfied with just reading the works of the past. He studied every book with a critical eye. If he found a mistake, he corrected it. If the knowledge was incomplete, he made it more complete. It was this spirit that made him one of the greatest scientists in history. There is also limited information about Al-Khwarizmi's religious beliefs. What emerges from the introductions to his books is that he was a devout Muslim and began his writings by praising God. However, which Islamic sect he followed is not clearly specified in reliable sources. However, researchers rely only on what can be gleaned from his works. His books show that he was a precise, orderly, logical, and pragmatic person. He didn't study mathematics for fun. His goal was to make people's lives easier, from dividing inheritances to calculating taxes, from trading to measuring land. For him, science had value when it helped people's lives. This view later changed the course of the history of mathematics. At that time, performing many calculations was a difficult and time-consuming task if a businessman wanted to calculate his profit and loss, if a farmer wanted to divide his land, if a family wanted to divide an inheritance among heirs, or an engineer wanted to build a bridge or a building. All these tasks required complex calculations, but there was still no systematic method for solving these problems. Khwarizmi decided to solve this problem once and for all. He studied for years. He examined various problems. He compared the solutions of Iranian, Indian, and Greek scientists, and finally he wrote a book whose name will forever remain in the history of science. Al-Kitab al-Muqtasa fi Hisab al-Jabr wa al-Muqabela. The book that we know today as Algebra wa al-Muqabela. This work was the first book that taught the science of algebra in a systematic, categorized, and practical way. In this book, Khwarizmi, he classified first and second degree equations and provided a clear, step-by-step method for each type of equation. He showed how complex problems could be broken down into simpler ones and then solved. This is why many historians of science consider him the father of algebra.
The second part of Al-Khwarizmi's biography will be published soon. Be sure to check it out.